philosophism triggers, and today we're going geopolitical because we're gonna analyze the failed geopolitical maps or regions and borders that never happened. Yes, tonight we are tracing some of the most fascinating borders that almost existed. Lines negotiated, drafted, but never accepted. Proposal that lived only in dusty archives, or lasted just a few months before collapsing. Let's explore the forgotten geography and geopolitics of what might have been. And first we're gonna start on the old continent in Europe. Did you know that at some point in history there was the Greater Albania? The Greater Albania. A recurring proposal in 1912, when Albania was first declared independence. Several versions existed. In 1913, London Conference draft Kosovo and Western Macedonia under Albanian flag. In 1941 and 1944, Italian and German occupation map. Then Kosovo plus Western North Macedonia. Parts of Montenegro and Cameria region of Greece under Albanians. And in post-World War II ethnic proposals, Kosovo Albanians petitioning, but none were internationally recognized. But what if accepted, Albania's coastline will stretch far deep toward Montenegro and around the Gulf of Preveza? Well, the next example is the United Arab Republic, or UAR. United Arab Republic, the superstate that almost spread across Middle East. Well, first Egypt and Syria, united in 1958, forming UAR, United Arab Republic. But what most people don't know is how big it almost became. In Iraq, a referendum was held in 1958 about joining the UAR. Yemen signed a loose federation treaty in 1959. And Libya under Gaddafi. Tried to merge with Egypt in 3 separate times. There were negotiations held with Jordan, Sudan, and even with Saudi Arabia for Pan-Arab Union of Middle East and North Africa. Early maps drawn by Egyptian planners showed a single state stretching from Mediterranean to Levant, Saudi Arabian desert, Red Sea to the horns of Africa. That, if would happen, that would be a mega-state of 100 million people in the 1960s. But political tension tensions, coups, and regional rivalries unraveled everything. Next, let's travel to Finland and talk about Greater Finland. Greater Finland. Well, the Arctic dream of 1930s and 40s. So, Greater Finland. Okay, Finland had several expansion proposals tied to the ideology of Greater Finland. First, annex of all Karelia. Second, absorb the Kola Peninsula up to Murmansk. Third, claim the Finnmark region in the North Norway. Unite the Finnic people by annexing Estonia, by joining with Estonia, and extend influence toward Ingria in St. Petersburg. Well, the Winter War 1930 and 40, and the Continuation War 1941 and 44 produced maps where Finnish control reached as far as the shores of Lake Ladoga and parts of East Karelia. But in 1947, every gained territory was lost, leaving Finland smaller than its pre-war dreams. Next, let's go to Africa, because here we have the Africa's borders that were drafted, then abandoned. Well, Africa contains some of the most ambitious and realized maps. The Central African Federation. Central African Federations in 1953. An early version included just Mozambique, Zambia, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and parts of Mozambique. The French West Africa Union, Paris, drafted a massive administrative super territory combining today's Senegal, Mali, Niger, Mauritania, Guinea, in a single country. Well, on the other side, the Horn of Africa Confederation, that would include Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, proposed between 1950s and 1962. And the third one was the Congo Superstate. The Congo Superstate, Belgian planners imagined uniting the Congo with Rwanda and Burundi into a single federation. most of these plans existed only in diplomatic documents, never on real map. Well, now in Asia, India and Pakistan, the partition maps that almost happened. There were 7 major drafts before the final Radcliffe Line. An early British proposal that kept Punjab united. A version of dividing Bengal into 3 zones and plan where Calcutta would join Pakistan. A proposal for an independent ski state and maps where Assam was partly allocated to East Pakistan. Another one was a plan for united Bengal, independent from India and Pakistan. And the final one was the version where Kashmir was divided by river valleys, not religion. Well, imagine South Asia where existed a Republic of Bengal stretching from Dhaka to Kolkata. Good. Now, I don't have here the Arctic borders, but there was a pie slice plan that was almost adopted, dividing the polar gap between nations. An early 20th century Arctic Treaties proposal, a simple rule that every country with Arctic coastline gets a triangular sector reaching the North Pole. The slice would have been somewhere here. The map is not letting me trace because it's outside of the paper. US sector from Alaska. I will browse here. From Alaska to the North Pole. USSR back then was USSR, not Russia, the largest covering Siberia to the North Pole. Canadian sector from the Yukon across Nunavut to the North Pole, Norwegian sector north of Svalbard to the North Pole, and the Danish sector from Greenland extending to the North Pole. Well, the negotiations occurred between 1925 and 1937. But the idea faded as the Arctic became legally defined as international waters. It would look like a geographic pizza, but never officially sliced. Alright, so maybe this was a bad joke. Okay, so wisdom. Now, let's travel to United States. Because United States would had in the past maybe 51 or 52 states. Well, first, a few that nearly happened. Jefferson in 1941, Northern California, plus Oregon. Yeah, this area. Official declared independence for 1 day. Independence for 1 day. Well, another history fact is that in 1849, a Mormon-led state covering Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and half of California and Wyoming. Next was the Dakota Split Plan. Dakota Split Plan. Well, originally proposed 3 states, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Jefferson Dakota. On the other side, in 1776, Manhattan State, in 1776, a revolutionary war proposal to treat Manhattan as a separate state for security reasons. Well, in this way, America could easily have 55, 60 states depending on which drafts were approved. Yeah, because America and submit system. Well, let's take a recap. If every failed border happened at once, the picture would look like Finland controls the Arctic coast, a pan-Arab states, United Arab States, dominated the Middle East and parts of the Arabian Peninsula, Greater Albania shapes for Adriatic. Africa contained a few states only, but quite some empires. South Asia would include United Bengal and Unified Kashmir, and the US map would look like with 55 or 60 states, and the Arctic sliced perfectly between the northern nations. Well, definitely a world with new shores, new seas, different ethnic regions, and dozens more flags. Well, drifting you softly into a parallel timeline. Well, thank you for exploring these forgotten borders with me, and if you enjoy this gentle alternative history journey, I'll see you in the next map. Thank you, and until next time, I wish you all the best.